So hello and welcome to the December 2018 edition of the Amsterdam Film Show. We've got a film review from David Swatling and it's a good one, Mary Poppins Returns. And then we're also going to share some film events in December 2018 in Amsterdam, and then a couple of highlights from the rest of the film releases in December that will be coming out in Amsterdam cinemas. So I said film events, and now that's a big lie really. It's really one series at Lab 111 that I wanted to highlight, and that is American Dreams, the complete filmography of David Lynch. And that is running from now until actually about halfway into January. So there's plenty of time to catch one of his films. A complete retrospective, guys. So this is pretty much everything. Yeah, that's what it says, everything. From The Elephant Man to Blue Velvet, Eraserhead, Dune, Wild at Heart, Mulholland Drive, and more. And there's a couple of, I think, documentaries on David Lynch's work thrown in there as well. And that's Lab 111 in West. So personally, I've seen, I think, only 2 of his films. I know he's a brilliant director, but, I've only seen 2. That's, I think, Dune and Elephant Man. So I've got no excuse now. I shall see you down there at Lab 111. There's lots of screenings of all of those films all kind of mixed in, so just check their schedule at lab111.nl. From the 19th of December in Amsterdam cinemas, we've got Mary Poppins Returns. Here's David Swatling with what he thought about the film.
When the original Mary Poppins came out in 1964, I was 12 years old. So, as I remember it, I had no interest in seeing Mary Poppins because I was too old for kiddie stuff like that. And it would be some years before I would actually start seeing Mary Poppins on TV and learning all the music, because once it gets in your head, it's impossible to get it out. But I did have some reservations about a Mary Poppins Returns. 3 things convinced me that I should go and see it. The first was Rob Marshall was directing it. Rob Marshall, Oscar winner for Chicago, the musical, with a background in musical theater and choreography. If there was anyone who might make this work, he would. As a matter of fact, I wasn't the only one with doubts. Screenwriter David McGee was asked to do Mary Poppins Returns, and he thought, I don't know, but once Rob Marshall was on board, he was on board. And you might know him from Finding Neverland, which happens to be one of my favorite films. So I thought, okay, that has potential. Then, when I heard they cast Emily Blunt as Mary Poppins, I thought, oh my God, she can do anything. I mean, she was in one of my favorite movies this year, A Quiet Place. Okay, that may be horror, but she's also done musicals and comedy. So I thought, okay, that's a good choice. And then they added, for support, Lin-Manuel Miranda, the creative genius behind the musical Hamilton. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. Well, and then the third thing was that Mark Shaman and Scott Whitman were doing the music. Now, they did the multi-award-winning Hairspray, which I love the score to that. And Mark Shaman has also done some great scores for films like Misery and A Few Good Men. So I thought, okay, those 3 things, I'll give it a shot. After all, it's the holiday season. Well, I loved it from beginning to end. A beautiful beginning sets the scene with a song called Underneath the Lovely London Sky, where Lin-Manuel Miranda, who plays a lamplighter, or Leary as they're called, bicycles through the streets of London, turning out the lamps on an early morning and just extolling the beauty of the city. Although there's kind of a dark edge to the beauty, because what they've done is they've set it in 1930, which is 20 years after the original film was set. But it is the time that the books were set, which is kind of the, well, as they say in the film, the days of the Great Slump. As a matter of fact, that's where we head to Cherry Tree Lane, back to the house where the first film took place. The thing is, it's 20 years later, so Michael and Jane have grown up. Michael now has 3 kids of his own. And Michael is beautifully played by Ben Whishaw, one of my favorite actors. And the thing is, the family is in trouble. There's problems with the bank, there's been a terrible loss in the family, and Michael is not handling things very well. As a matter of fact, it's his 3 kids who are sort of in control of the house and getting everything done and being the adults. And that's why we need Mary Poppins. who comes in very soon and takes care of business, because the whole point of this movie is to bring back the imagination and the magic to the lives of the children, and also to the lives of the adults. It's done with great music, great scenes, and they've done what they did in the original film as well, mixed animation sequences with live action. Now, Rob Marshall was determined to use the old school 2D drawn animation, which Disney was like, come on, we've got new techniques, we want to use those. And he said, no, we really need to use the 2D all drawn techniques. Well, they've actually ended up using mostly that combined with the new techniques, and the animation is fantastic. It's just, the sequences are great. At the beginning, there's an underwater sequence at bath time. It's fantastic. But then there's a great sequence. It's called, I don't want to give too much of the plot away, but there's this scene that involves going into a Royal Doulton China bowl and becoming the world that's drawn on the bowl. And this is where the live action and the animation just go so brilliantly together. I have to mention the costumes of Sandy Powell, who used painted material to make the costumes so that they would match the colors on the animation. And the whole thing is just glorious. And the animation sequences, you won't be bored, I can tell you that for sure, especially when it comes to a big music hall scene with a song called A Cover Is Not the Book, where Emily Blunt and Lin-Manuel Miranda do this classic English music hall routine that is so fun and so bright and lively. It lifts your spirits. And while we're talking about the music, there are two songs that are fantastic. One is a song that Emily Blunt sings called The Place Where Lost Things Go, which is a beautiful lullaby ballad, which is sure to give that song Shallow from A Star Is Born a run for its money at Oscar time. And then there's a great street singing lamplighter song that Lin-Manuel Miranda leads called Trip a Little Light Fantastic. Trip a Little Light Fantastic. That just trips right off the tongue, doesn't it? It's one of those kinds of songs like Papa and Oliver that just brings the whole cast together, brings the whole city together, and brings the whole audience, in a fantastic mood that propels you right to the end of the film. I can't say enough great things about this movie. I really, really loved it from beginning to end. I was never bored. It's a little over 2 hours long, which might seem a little long for children, but like I said, I think that they will be captivated from beginning to end. But it's not just a movie for children. I mean, it may be a little bit of a cliche, but it will be said that this is the movie we need right now, because let's face it, 2018 has not been the most fun year, whether you're an American or a Brit or a Dutch, or it's been full of one horrible thing after another in terms of politics and disasters. So this is the kind of movie we want at holiday time, something to lift our spirits and feel great. After all, P.J. Travers, who wrote Mary Poppins, said adults have a need for Mary Poppins more than children. And that's what I think about this movie. Now, one little note, there is a Nederlands version and an original language version out here in Holland. So be sure to check which one is playing at which time, because you won't want to be disappointed if you want to see, the Nederlands version with Oma and Opa and the grandkids, or you want to see yourself the English version, which I highly recommend. I mean, if the holiday season, if you want to bring magic back into it, then this is the movie to see. Treat yourself. You'll love it.
So the rest of the cinema releases in December 2018, we've just got a few. Cold War from the 6th of December. It's a drama romance, black and white, from Poland. Now, it's a passionate and tempestuous love story which begins in post-war Poland. It's had top reviews all round, and the trailer tells us it's lusciously shot and there's some beautiful jazz singing. And being a Polish film, you might want to seek out a screening with English subtitles. Also from the 6th of December, Kursk, a drama thriller. I wasn't going to pick this one out, but it's had really good reviews. The director, Thomas Vinterberg, is kind of up and coming. He did a recent version of Far From the Madding Crowd. This film also has Matthias Schoenaerts, who was in that film, and Colin Firth. This is the real-life tragedy of the men who died in a Russian submarine accident in 2000, and there's a strong cast and a good director. The critics on Rotten Tomatoes give this only 69%, but the audience give it 89%. The question is, who do you trust? From the 12th of December, Ralph Breaks the Internet. Animation, with the voices of John C. Reilly, Sarah Silverman and Taraji P. Henson. By all accounts, it's a very well done sequel to Wreck-It Ralph. From the 13th of December, Shoplifters. It's a Japanese drama. A poor family, relying on petty crime to get by, take in a young girl they find wandering the streets. It's had universally excellent reviews. And again, try to see it with English subtitles if you need to. From the 13th of December also, Anna and the Apocalypse, horror, comedy, musical. So there's not a big well-known team behind this. It's a British comedy. Think Shaun of the Dead meets La La Land. That's what everyone's saying. So with a bit of a song and dance, Anna and her friends fight back the zombie apocalypse in her small UK town this Christmas. From the 20th of December, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's an animation, and it's kind of a fresh new animation style and story for this familiar franchise, and it's had good reviews. From the 20th of December, Colette, period drama and biopic. How a young French woman goes from ghostwriting for her husband to literary and commercial success to breaking out on her own terms. From the 20th of December, Wildlife, a drama, directed by Paul Dano, the well-known actor. But it's also with Carey Mulligan and Jake Gyllenhaal. In 60s Montana, a marriage slowly falls apart. Loved by critics, slightly less by audiences so far. So that's it for the Amsterdam Film Show 2018. Thank you for joining us this year, and thank you to everyone who's reviewed a film for us, including our main critic, David Swatling, and we'll be back again in January 2019. See you then.